Mic check, 1, 2. All righty then. Hey there, guys. I am meteorologist Ben Peine. It is Ben at 10 on this September the 10th, and we actually have a little bit of a shower out to our west. I think it will fall apart as it moves into most of our area, but we'll take a look at that. And shower, rain, thunderstorm is not something we are going to be talking about in general for a long time. There is a disturbance that may move in tonight and give us a chance for a little bit of a sprinkle. And if you're listening right now when the show begins, you might be Beverly Haggist or Orlean pops in very quickly, or you might be watching the replay. So thanks for watching the replay, whether it's here on my page, Meteorologist Ben Peine, or Extol Weather on Facebook, Extol Media on YouTube, and extolmag.com/weather online. As we take a live look outside, we have a little extra cloud cover moving in through this afternoon with what we call a short wave. It is a little disturbance in the mid-level of the atmosphere, about 18,000 feet or so. And this could give us maybe a sprinkle for a few areas, mainly west of I-65. Since I'm speaking of that, take a look at there. First time we've seen some rain on the radar since I think it was like last Thursday. But this little guy here, now moving east of Evansville, is holding on enough where in Breckenridge County around Hardinsburg, you guys might get a brief little shower, maybe some sprinkles into Perry County around Ferdinand, in southern Du Bois County. And we'll just kind of keep an eye on it, see how long it will hold on, but should be dying out as it continues to weaken and move into some drier air. But hey, at least there's something on the radar. Might be enough to kind of hold down the dust in a few areas, again, depending on how long that little guy tries to hold together there out to the west. And one of the first comments here popping in this morning is Tim Furnish. Beautiful there in Madison again today. Cookout weather. Phenomenal cookout weather, Tim. And the humidity staying on the low side today. It'll start to gradually get warmer, and that's going to top out our weather headlines here in just a second. Dennis Gregory popping in from Bedford, Indiana. Got some clouds there, and that's that disturbance, that short wave we're talking about moving into your area, but the temps are nice. So little layer of clouds, again, as we mentioned, with this little short wave, little disturbance out to the west. You can see the clouds associated with that. I think that'll just be maybe a sprinkle chance again for a few areas west of I-65. So not going to be a big deal with that. A lot of us would like it to be a bigger deal because our yards are getting rather dry out there. Here is a look at your weather headlines for your September 10th. A bit warmer for today. That sprinkle chance again over the next hour or two for some areas along 64 and south, west of I-65. Again, we'll look at that with the radar and satellite here in just a second. Again, we'll have a short wave in the region. That is a disturbance in the mid-level of the atmosphere that might keep some clouds around and give us a sprinkle chance, but it's fighting the dry air at the surface. So what that might end up being is rain that falls evaporates before it hits the ground, and we call that virga. Sometimes you can see that little kind of misty looking stuff underneath the clouds. So VIRGA, evaporating rainfall is what we might get out of that. Near 90 this weekend. So if you want summer to kick back in, it's going to feel more like it, but the humidity won't be crazy. And the dry, overall, mostly dry weather pattern could continue through the middle of next week. We've got Orlean Whitlow. My internet's a little slow. Have a great day. Thanks for popping in from Hodgenville in LaRue County. I think LaRue County has a burn ban. There's a few counties in Kentucky. I think Shelby, LaRue. I saw a couple, maybe Marion County under a burn ban. None in Indiana yet, but the fire danger is going to start to elevate as we continue to have dry day after dry day. The tinder, the forest, leaves, all that stuff drying out. So the good thing that helps out in this situation, we're not going to have any windy days to elevate the fire danger even more. So just kind of watch out for that outdoor burning, especially around leaves and dry fields of grass. Good morning. Hope we get some rain, even if it's a little bit. Yeah, a little bit would be the key here. Not expecting a whole lot, but we're watching again, just a little bit of activity out to the west. And I'll bring it back up the forecast here for today. Most areas will stay dry. 77 at noon, 84 the forecast high. I think we'll see a little more cloud cover today, but maybe just a degree or two warmer as well. 73 at 8 p.m. My son's got a tennis match this evening with the grandparents coming to watch, so we want to keep it dry for that. Overall, most of us 0% chance of rain. Gonna give us maybe like a 20% for these areas out west and just a very light breeze. And by that, I mean, again, these spots that are just out west of us, seeing that chance of a little bit of rain activity there. Again, Perry County and into Breckenridge County. Again, we'll kind of watch that and see if it actually will hold together or not. And we're going to be digging into the weather model data here in just a second. As always, we give you the forecast right off the top. Then we do a few announcements. Then we'll dig deeper into the forecast, the 7-day, all that good stuff. And then it's your weather nerd segment where we are going to deep dive into the weather models. Of course, we're going to go on Ben on a limb, sometimes look out a couple weeks and try to see when we might see some more significant weather changes. The GFS weather model, just a little hint before we dig into that, usually around 9:20, shows right around the 21st, right around when fall begins. It's got a Canadian front moving in, so we'll see if that actually happens or not. But we got a few more comments here popping in. We have Robert Simpson, another Pleasant Valley Wednesday here in Lanesville. Remember our Lanesville Festival this weekend. I am remembering your Lanesville Festival this weekend because I've actually got a weather graphic for that. See if I can pop that on here real quick since you mentioned it. All right, let me remove that. Pop that up. There we go. As it loads up here. It's trying to load up here. Orlean, I might be with you here with the slow internet here this morning. And we got a good morning. It seemed quite cool this morning because of being overcast. So Mary, overcast. I'm guessing you're out west, southwest of Louisville. Let me see here if we're getting that to pop back in. There we go. Internet's working. So as Robert Simpson mentioned, the Lanesville Heritage Festival tomorrow through the weekend. We've got J-Town Gaslight Festival continues this weekend too. Upper 80s to around 90 degrees, and most areas are going to stay dry. So big weekend of festivals here as we start to move toward mid-September. So a lot going on across the region. All right. So again, watching these little showers out west. We'll be on here for about 40, 45 minutes. We'll see if they continue to hold together or not as we monitor that. Let me go ahead and bring up some other stuff as well as we continue to cruise on into our Ben at 10 this morning. Here's a live look outside with the Falls of the Ohio Foundation camera. Let me see if I can load that guy back up there. It should kick on. Looks like they had a group of some folks down there, maybe a little tour there. You can see. All right. This is the Falls of the Ohio.org webcam. And again, the internet's just being a tad slow here this morning. But it's working. It's working just fine. All right. So here is a look as well at the live stream that we have up here at extolmag.com/weather, your 7-day forecast that I posted for you. You get the interactive radar, the severe weather outlook, day 1, day 2. There's no severe weather anytime soon for our area. The drought monitor updates every week on a Thursday. We'll check that out, likely expanding over our area. And the big interactive radar that you can find here, which shows a little bit of those showers around Santa Claus and maybe moving into Breckenridge County if they can hold together. Very interesting. It's overperforming what the weather models were showing. And sometimes a short wave will do that little impulse, that disturbance in the mid-level of the atmosphere at about 18, 20,000 feet, just enough to create a couple showers, also fighting some dry air at the surface. And you see our temperatures here starting off in the 60s. Nice, cool conditions, very light breeze across. All right, Mary's in New Albany. Yeah, seeing some of those clouds moving in here, Mary. LOL, now the sun has come out. So as we look live out into Albany here at the corner of Vincennes and Market. There you can see that sunshine. But as that disturbance moves to the east, we will likely have some clouds filling back in there, as you mentioned, Mary. So thanks for popping in again in the comments. And here's, again, look, extolmag.com/weather, interactive radar. And we will have an Extol app for Southern Indiana and beyond coming out soon. So stay tuned for that. We'll have more announcements when that does come out. All right. There's the group of kids, it looks like, moving along the fossil beds, as we do have a little bit of cloud cover out there, but a nice, peaceful start to the day as we look live there. And very quiet conditions. No activity, no tropical storm activity expected during the next 7 days here from the National Hurricane Center, which is interesting because it's the peak of the hurricane season. I do want to give some announcements here, and then we'll dig into your forecast in just a moment. Lions Roofing, our partners here, free estimates online, and you can go to lionsroofingco.com. They've got you covered both sides of the river, 812-294-3595. You can also take a look at all their services. A family-owned company right out of Memphis, Indiana, commercial, residential, new home builds. They can also talk to you about financial help, serving customers in Louisville, Kentucky, and Southern Indiana right there. Sometimes when you do roof work, you got to talk about insurance. They also, here at American Family Insurance, have had a price decrease recently. My renewal had that. And if you want to learn more, you can get a quote here from Michael Long, 812-578-3072. Proud to be an American Star certified agency, excellence in customer experience. And you just message Michael there if you want to go to amfam.com. Libs Paving, thankfully, we got a big dry spell for these guys because they are getting a lot of work done across the area to fix up the roads, asphalt and concrete. You can see all the services they had to offer. But the main thing is they have a bunch of opportunities here for you. So if you have a family member, friend, somebody you know that needs some opportunity, a career change, whatever it might be, some work, you can see all the available opportunities right there. You can also level up your opportunities with Ivy Tech Community College. Go to locations, the Sellersburg location. And again, they can give you a 2-year certification in a lot of different programs. You can see all the programs that they have to offer right there. Of course, they've got RN and nursing, criminal justice, psychology, accounting. You can go on and on and on and on, supplying the workforce for Southern Indiana and giving you an opportunity too. Maybe you're a high schooler going into college. Maybe you're in the 30s or your 40s or your 50s and you want to change. There you go. That is an easy way to do it right there. All right. It is about that time that we start to dig deep into that forecast. We got weather jokes. We got weather history. We've got the long range outlook. We've got you covered with all things weather in Southern Indiana. And we've got Big Happy in the house with a little coffee break. I'm looking forward to one. I'm going to be heading up to Huber's for a little lunch. So I'm looking forward to that. We've got a couple more comments popping in, and then we'll again bring up that forecast, which I need to go back in time a little bit here. Let me go full screen, and we'll get to the comments, and we'll get to your forecast. We have Christian Walker, morning meteorologist Ben Peine. How are you doing this morning? We're doing great here, 65 and cloudy in Carmel. I have a golf ball drop in Noblesville tomorrow. Enjoy. Thanks for joining us this morning, Christian. Tammy Morton, good morning. Tammy and Vicky, thanks for tuning in here. And Lillian Lasley, happy hump day. As summer will be kicking in this weekend and into next week before maybe September 21st, 22nd, right when fall officially begins, we might have some bigger changes around that time once again. All right. If you guys have a weather question, you want to connect, or you want to see your business, your organization, your logo on our products, we can help you out with that. We can be your megaphone here in Southern Indiana and get the word out. Marketing and advertising solutions with Extol Weather, Extol Media. You can contact me, Ben at extolmag.com, Jason at extolmag.com as well. Love to hear from you. Here's your weather headlines for your September the 10th. A bit warmer today, but still low humidity and still comfortably warm. Maybe a sprinkle chance for a few areas west of I-65, south of 64 here this morning. We'll take a look at that with the radar and satellite again in just a second. But again, most areas will stay dry and maybe a sprinkle chance for tonight. Sometimes these little, what we call short waves, can kind of outperform the weather models and produce a little bit of precipitation when it doesn't even show up on the weather models. So we'll talk more about that. Near 90 this weekend. The dry pattern continues through the middle of next week, mostly dry. Play ball forecast, 77 at noon, 84 this afternoon, and partly cloudy. At times, maybe mostly cloudy as we get this disturbance kind of spilling in some clouds. And that'll just make it feel good as well. So here are the stupid weather jokes. Now, this might be my favorite weather joke ever on top. I've heard this one before, said in different ways, but we're going to do it the PG. PG. I'm gonna call this rated PG. The weather reporter at the gym was often mistaken for a physician. People thought he was a meteorologist. Meteorologist? All right. Since this bad weather started, my wife hasn't stopped staring through the patio windows. If it gets any worse, I might have to let her in. I think it's kind of funny. I really enjoyed that weather show on Netflix. All 4 seasons of it. Boom-ch. All right. 1 out of 10. Let me know what you're thinking. I'm giving these. As far as these are the weather jokes, I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10. Meteorologist. All right. Here's your weather history. 1811, the first U.S. tornado to kill more than 10 people took 11 lives in Charleston, South Carolina, spawned by a landfalling hurricane. But I'm guessing the records were pretty spotty way back in the day. There may have been some other tornado that did worse and never got reported. But on record, 1811, 1919, one of the most intense hurricanes that hit the U.S. swept through Key West, Florida. Over 700 people died, and that track went up into Corpus Christi. 1960, again, this time of the year, September is peak hurricane time of the year, so you're going to see a lot of tropical stuff. 1960, Hurricane Donna over the Florida Keys. Donna was a Cat 5, made landfall Cat 4. 1976, Tropical Storm Kathleen hit San Diego. You don't hear about tropical systems hitting Southern California very often. 6 people killed with that. 1998, Tropical Storm Francis made landfall, coastal flooding and beach erosion. The biggest coastal flooding and beach erosion for parts of Texas since Hurricane Carla. And then 2003, check this one out. A Florida couple won $21 million when they bought the winning lottery ticket while shopping for a surge protector after lightning had struck their TV set. So very unlucky, but then very, very lucky. That would be a nice turn of events right there. 2017, Hurricane Irma crossed the Florida Keys as a Cat 4 hurricane. Christian asked about the weather tomorrow. It should be dry across the area, partly cloudy and some lower to mid 80s, and the humidity will stay pretty low as well. And we've got Vicky with a report here. Good morning, Ben. Cloudy and hazy in Salem. I thought it was going to be sunny today. Well, actually partly cloudy. Well, we've got this. Let me show you what's going on here, Vicky. We've got a little disturbance. It's a little a little impulse, a little short wave. So that'll pass on through, and we'll likely see plenty of sunshine today as well. So a little disturbance moving through the atmosphere. And look how small that disturbance is, by the way, when we look at it with some perspective here and zoom out. So what you're looking at is this little disturbance. It's like the little engine that could. It's doing a little bit better than the weather models were showing, with some sprinkles and a brief light shower for a few areas out to the west. We're going to see if it can hold together into the dry air that it's kind of spilling into right now. And let's go ahead and bring up as well let's see if I can pop in the dew point temperatures, because the dew points are still very dry across the area. So these are the METAR observations that should pop in here, and I want to put this on the latest. Let me see if we can get this to load. There we go. So notice the dew points. Let's go full screen here. We're going to do a little analysis. You got 57 dew point, that's dry in Louisville. You got 61 in Elizabethtown. You got some lower 60s dew points, so a little bit more moisture in that little pocket with that short wave out to the west near Tell City, near Santa Claus, western edge of Breckenridge County in Kentucky. But as that moves to the east, I think it'll weaken. I think it'll hit into some drier air, and most of us will not see a sprinkle from that. And we got a good morning here from Mike Siebert. Thanks for watching here this morning. Joyce with a good morning. There are no hurricanes to talk about. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the show. You probably weren't with us, Christian, but there is no hurricane activity expected within the next 7 days from the National Hurricane Center. So it is very quiet despite being, again, the peak of hurricane season. So there you go. That is what is happening here with this little disturbance out to the west. We can go ahead and bring up the live radar as well. I just think it's interesting. We're finally seeing, I mean, it's been about a week since we've seen any rain on the radar. Clear that out. So why is it still drawing? There we go. So there you can see just a little activity there around Perry County, southern Perry County, and then holding together. Oops, sorry for the super zoom there. So Hardinsburg, you might, if this can hold together, you might get some drops to hit the ground. Let me know if you do, if you're watching from Breckenridge County. Have doubts that it would make it into Meade County. And I have doubts that much will actually hit the ground, again, for how dry it is. Hey, Christian, I'm feeling a lot better. I took a Z-Pack, and I'm feeling pretty much 100%. That means I need to get back to lifting weights and running. I've been finding too many excuses. The weather's too good to not be active. So I need to make some better choices and get back at it, as they say. All right, so there you go. Okay, we took a little break with the radar. We're going to play a little game. We're going to see how these hold together over the next. We'll stay on here for probably another 20, 25 minutes. But again, sometimes these short waves, the models don't do the equations perfectly, and they can kind of outperform and give us a little precip chance every once in a while. But again, it'll be pretty small here for us. Well, let me bring back up the forecast. All right, that's the weather history. We're going to move on here. How many days until? We've got 12 days until autumn begins, average highs in the 60s and 39 days. Halloween, 51 days away. And our average first flurries, guys, 66 days. I think that's right around mid-November is typically when we see our first flurries. So I've adjusted our how many days until. So less than 2 weeks until autumn begins. And right around 11, 12 days, we might see a decent weather pattern change, which we'll look at with our long-range outlook, which, as you know, if you've been watching, is... been on a limb. We'll go on a limb here in just a little bit. Check this out. So yesterday we had the before 8 p.m. sunset, the first before 8 p.m. sunset of this part of the year. Sunset time this evening, 7:58. We lose 1 hour and 11 minutes of daylight. You lose that from both ends, later sunrises and earlier sunsets in September. The next 8 p.m. or later sunset, 197 days away, March 26th. Bummer there. All right, the allergy report is high. Ragweed, it could be impacting you. You're probably seeing that along the sides of the roads. There's a lot of it out there. UV index at a 7 today, despite some cloud cover passing through. And this is the short wave that I'm talking about. So you've got this little ripple in the jet stream, okay? This is a quick little explainer here. You take that ripple, and it's that line. You probably can't see it here, but there's a little line that says 5820. That's the geopotential height up there in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. And there's a little trough. And when you cut that in half, that is the middle of the short wave, and that's where you get uplift, and that's where you can create some clouds. And if it's strong enough uplift, you can get a shower. And that's why we're seeing a few of these showers out to the west. This short wave, this little trough in the atmosphere in the mid-levels, again, about 18,000 feet, is where we were getting this little disturbance to pass on through, giving us some clouds. So that is the explainer of what we're seeing out there today, and tonight maybe a sprinkle with that too. Your forecast summary for today, 84 degrees for your Wednesday, September 10th. Happy Hump Day, 84, partly cloudy. Again, we got this little clouds moving through now west of I-65, and then we'll likely break out into plenty of more sunshine this afternoon. Sunset at 7:58, light and variable wind. Tonight, a slight sprinkle chance, low 62, partly cloudy, light wind, and our sun up at 7:21. Your Thursday forecast for September 11th, 62 out the door, 80 at noon, 86 for the afternoon high. And that is pretty much back to normal. Normal high is 84, normal low is 64. And our sun up at 7:21, our sunset at 7:56. And again, we mentioned the Lanesville 50 years, the Lanesville Heritage Festival, September 11th to 14. Love the valley over there. Beautiful town. We got Christian Walker, a hot weather fan, so you're going to be happy with the upper 80s to around 90 degrees here this weekend. It's also the Gaslight Fest in Jeffersontown. We used to go there every balloon glow with the kids when they were little, take pictures and all that stuff. That was always fun there. And J-Town when we lived over in Louisville. On the southern Indiana side, the sunny side, we got the Lanesville Festival this weekend, which I've judged the parade before. But also, always an awesome time there. 7-day forecast, mostly dry. Weather continues. If you look closely, I don't know how big of a screen you're looking on. I put some words Saturday and Sunday that just say isolated. Such a small chance, like we're seeing out here today, of maybe a little sprinkle passing through. But most of our 7 days is going to be dry. I'm going to go 86 tomorrow, 87 Friday, lows in the upper 50s, low 60s. 88 Saturday, 91 Sunday, Monday, around 90 Tuesday, Wednesday. Humidity not, again, terrible. It's going to be tolerable humidity. It's not going to be the muggy weather that we had in July or August or anything like that. So there it is. Pretty simple 7-day forecast overall here for us. And let me go ahead and bring up the radar, and we'll start to dig into the weather model data. So this is, I think it's just interesting. It's strong enough that it's been beating the weather models. But let's bring up the HRRR and see if it's starting to pick up on this activity, because it does update every hour. And I'm really curious if it is going to start picking up on this or not. Okay, so it is starting to pick up on this. Earlier this morning, it really didn't have much printed out. So let's bring up the HRRR. This is 11 o'clock. So notice that it does pick up on a little bit of that out to our west. The timing maybe a little bit slow on this. But looking ahead, let's see if it tries to hold it together. So there is a little shower chance. See it? This is at 2 p.m. today with that little shortwave moving through. So we might see some areas along west of I-65 getting in on an isolated little brief shower, a sprinkle, if it can fight some of that dry air at the surface. This is around 4 p.m. today. So I'd say, 20% chance or less of this for the western half of the area. As we go into the later afternoon hours, it's showing nothing here at 5 and 6 o'clock pretty much. But that'll provide a few clouds around. And as we go into the evening time, it's also showing maybe a sprinkle chance. Notice if we look closely here, there's a little blip on the future radar. This is at 9 p.m. So the high resolution models are just starting to pick up on that mid-level disturbance that we were talking about, that short wave. So it might be enough to give us a very, very isolated shower or sprinkle at some point today and tonight. But most areas will be dry. It's around 10 p.m. tonight. Notice a very small, very isolated chance of that sprinkle or a very tiny shower. But hey, if you can get it, take it. Keep some of the dust down. Hey, Ginger, little kitty. This is at midnight tonight, showing that little chance of a shower as well. But we'll take every raindrop we can get, because we might not see much else after this. This is at 2 a.m. I'm going to bring up the 48-hour version of the HRRR. So when we're sleeping, there might be that sprinkle chance overnight. And then that short wave, that disturbance kind of moves off to the east. Now we're looking at tomorrow morning. I'm going to take this to noon tomorrow. And it has us pretty much dry for our Thursday, partly cloudy and dry. All right. So we get the model starting to pick up on what we have out there. I'm going to bring this back to, we're going to look at the other, high resolution weather model. This is the NAM 3-kilometer weather model. And I'm going to put this at now. It also shows a little bit of this out to our west. Here's 11 a.m. Here is noon. So kind of just showing a sprinkle chance if we can get that. A lot of this, if we look at it, and let me know in the comments if you end up getting a sprinkle or something like that. So a lot of times, as I mentioned earlier, you'll get this disturbance moving through at about 15, 18,000 feet. It does produce some precipitation under that layer of clouds, but as that precip drops, it evaporates as it moves into drier air. And when we have precip that evaporates before hitting the ground, we call that VIRGA, virga. So you can kind of look a little bit dark underneath the clouds, kind of like a little bit of mist or something like that, and then you see it just evaporate. So I think we'll see some of that. It's kind of neat looking underneath the clouds, the virga. But if we do see some of those drops hit the ground, again, let me know in the comments. Would be interested to see that. And we have a few comments popping in here. Again, Christian's a hot weather fan. And happy early birthday to Christian Walker, turning 25 on the 18th. Judy Hoyer, I do love summer heat. Not cold weather person at all. Have a great day. Yeah, there's a lot of summer lovers out there, like myself, but I do. Fall is creeping up in my opinion. It's at 4 p.m. today. It has us mostly dry, but again, if I zoom in and hyper zoom, there's a little blip of green. Will some of those drops hit the ground? We will see. Give me that ground truth. If you get a raindrop, let me know. I'll be looking at comments later today. If you're watching the replay and you're getting a raindrop, drop it in the comments. Pun intended. All right, here's 5 p.m. today. And again, a short wave, mid-level disturbance, giving us a chance. I'm saying there's a little bit of a chance, very small chance. I'm now bumping this weather model ahead to 8 p.m. All right, instead of holding it in front of my face, I'll take a drink. This is at 9 p.m. 11 p.m. So showing a little better chance for some areas out to our west. So for tonight, very isolated shower, maybe a sprinkle that can try to hold together. I'm just going hour by hour here with the NAM 3 kilometer. This is at 1 o'clock in the morning. Just seeing if we get some little blips trying to show up. And again, you got to look closely here. There's just a blip showing the weather calculations with the weather models are getting enough lift to maybe produce that very small chance of some light precip tonight. I just wouldn't count on it very much. Probably having to do a lot more watering, using the sprinklers and all that. Definitely not going to be enough to help out the drought situation that we have across the area. And that could lead us to some elevated fire weather danger as we head later this week. We'll likely see some more burn bans. Okay, so I'm still clicking ahead. This is around 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Here's 7 o'clock. That short wave is still around the region, but it's still showing that better chance of any little shower, mainly out in western Kentucky, far southwestern Indiana. And let me bring up the precipitable water. So this is a measure of the amount of water that could come out of the atmosphere. I'm going to take this back to basically now. So the precipitable water, this is what I was talking about earlier, is a little higher in western Kentucky and southwestern Indiana and southern Illinois. So this short wave has a little bit of water to work with in the atmosphere. But as we look ahead here into the afternoon, we are seeing that little bit of moisture out west. That's why I'm saying that shower chance is probably going to be greatest, or sprinkle chance, west of 65. It just moves into drier air as that little disturbance moves off to the east. So again, weak disturbance hitting dry air, likely not going to see much out of that. So doing a little more analysis here. I'm going to go into, so this is 6 p.m. today. And again, if we look closely here, a little higher level of moisture in the yellow, and then this is all really dry air. So just not expecting much out of that. So let's look a little bit farther down the road here. We've got a live report here with 73 degrees at Lillian Lasley's house. Thank you very much there in Grayson County. Going into our day tomorrow, looking at the precipitable water, the amount of water content in the air. And it's interesting that it stays out west of I-65. This little pocket of slightly more moist air is where we just have that little better chance of a shower. Air is drier out to the east. All right. It's kind of cool to look at the big view of the precipitable water because you can see the tropical air. Remember July? We had that right on top of us, that red. It was just a wall of sweat when you walked outside. And thankfully, we've had a break in the humidity for a long time now, as that Canadian front a while ago really carved out that tropical air. Okay, so I'm going to bring up the GFS weather model here. I've still got it on the precipitable water, and it's still showing pretty dry air over the region. I'm going to go into the 12th, so that's going to be our Friday, looking at dry air in place. And again, you can see the tropical air over the tropics where it should be, and relatively dry air over our region. And again, a little bit too dry, a little bit too much of a good thing leads us to drought conditions and elevated fire danger as well. John Fox with a good morning. Thanks for tuning in here. We've got Jeanette Pierce as well. Good morning from Litchfield. Another week of summer weather. Sounds great until it's gone. That's right. You know, we run out of days that are going to be summer-like, and over the next week, it's going to be more summer-like here for us. Let me jump ahead to next week as we head towards what is Monday the 15th, I think. Yeah. Monday the 15th. Not tropical. Maybe just a tad more humid, especially for areas west of I-65 in that yellow. We're looking at water content in the air with this product right here. Going to like the 18th of September. Tropical air is still over the tropics. We just have a slight bit of humidity across the area. But I was looking at around the 21st. That would be our last day of summer. And it shows a stronger front moving in around that time. We'll see if that happens. So with that, since we're looking this far out, it's time for this. The Ben on a Limb segment. All right, so that's the precipitable water. What does this mean? So as we back out our view, oops, let me don't do that and click on this, click on that. All right. So you're seeing that Canadian air. If this happens, this is 21st. This is the last day of fall. So what is it, about 11 days out? Sunday the 21st, and then Monday the 22nd. And with that, let's take a look at the dew point map. That's the measure of the surface water content. And it will also show the punch of dry air. Look at that. We could look all the way up to the North Pole. That is a large dry air mass that wins the battle here. And you can see it moving through. If this happens on the 21st, we'll go to the 22nd, which is when fall officially begins. And there you go. It has carved out the entire United States almost with dry Canadian air. And if we bring up the temperatures here for the first day of fall, Canada wins basically with some nice looking temps. Much cooler off to our northeast, but maybe 60s and 70s. We'll see if it happens. Mark it on your calendar. We'll take a look whether this model is wrong or is right, or if we see a big change right on the day autumn begins. We'll see if we get this nice cool change moving into the area. But very interesting. That would be a significant weather pattern change. We're going into a summer pattern near 90 this weekend. We'll get back to that 7-day forecast here in just a second. And it looks like that heat could hang around through next weekend. And then again, by Sunday, Monday, not this weekend, next weekend, 21st, 22nd, that's when fall begins, right on time, bam. Maybe we're looking at some fall crisp air returning to the area. I'd be curious what the low temperature would be that following morning. So look at this. Take a look at that. That is the cool air dropping in. So I'm guessing this is probably going to be 40s, 50s. Yeah, look at that. 40s. Boom, boom, boom. Let's feast our eyes on some 40s, even though I saw some of you guys that are summer lovers don't want to see this, but it's that time of the year we're getting reloaded with fall fronts, and it looks like that could be happening a little bit later this month as fall returns. So week and a half of summer-like weather, we'll say. Humidity not too bad, but up around 90, and then we're going to bring back maybe some fall-like conditions a little bit later down the road. Let's see if the Climate Prediction Center also agrees with this assessment. So we will bring up the CPC, the Climate Prediction Center's 6 to 10 day and 8 to 14 day outlook. You can go to cpc.ncep.noaa.gov if you want to take a look at this yourself. And so it shows what's happening here through next week is a ridge of high pressure building in the heat and sunshine. And we are on the edge of that ridge, but close enough that we will have above normal temperatures, upper 80s, low 90s. And so trending by that time 5 to 10 degrees above normal, feeling like summer. What this map shows us is that the Climate Prediction Center has a higher confidence in above normal temperatures through the next 6 to 10 days. If we bring up the 8 to 14 day outlook, now I'm saying around day 13 as fall begins, the end of the 14-day outlook, that's when we could see the return of the autumn air. But this is the 8 to 14-day outlook that'll pop up next from the Climate Prediction Center, and it shows overall over the next 2 weeks above normal temperatures, a higher likelihood of above normal temperatures. So yeah, the yellow, orange, red from the Climate Prediction Center shows that they have an above normal chance of above normal temperatures. So that's what that map says right there. Summer weather returns for us for the next week and a half or so. We'll see if we get that Canadian front to drop in. What is that? 2 Mondays from now, around the 22nd. And so with all of that analysis right here, as we're up to 1040, man, we've been talking a lot. That is going to be the end of Shoo. The weather's quiet, but there's been plenty to talk about here today, and we need to bring up the live radar because we've got some live little showers just out to the west. And we've been curious if they will hold together or not as well. All right, let me bring it up. My wife just texted me wanting a Diet Coke at work, so I might have to drop her off a Diet Coke. The good old DC. There we go. So as we look at the live radar, how about that, guys? We actually have a little bit of activity on here, and let me see if I can bring up the visible satellite to match up with that. Take a look at that. So that's why you guys west of 65 are seeing some clouds. East of 65, you're not seeing any clouds. In fact, take a live look outside. It's sunny here in New Albany, but west of 65, we're seeing the clouds rolling in. And if you're just popping in, you're like, what's going on? This is a mid-level little shortwave, a little impulse at about 15, 18, 20,000 feet. It's got enough lift to produce a little bit of shower activity. Let me know if any of this is touching the ground. I'd be very curious about that. But as we zoom in here a little bit, so the radar beam as well goes up at an angle into the sky. So around Paoli, it's probably around 4,000 or 5,000 feet. And the rain can evaporate as it continues to fall. So sometimes that far out, it's rain actually not touching the ground. So let me go back to that view for you here. So here's the live radar with Orange County around French Lick. I would say that is hefty enough to get a sprinkle out of that around French Lick. Let me know if you're in French Lick, if you're going to get that little sprinkle, if that's hitting the ground or not. And then let me know north of English. if we're getting that to touch the ground there, north of 64 and 37. 37 goes right up from English to Paoli. And then as we look out west, some sprinkly activity as well here around Ferdinand, around Santa Claus, Tell City, into Breckenridge County. We've got, as well as we look here near Hardinsburg, Kentucky, a little bit of a shower there. So I think this will continue to die out as it moves east out of a little bit more moisture out west into some drier air up to, so as it kind of tries to bump into 65, should be really fizzling out. But that, hey, there's something that we're looking at, and it is a tiny disturbance as we look way out. So this is a little bit of a short wave right here that's moving slowly off to the east. Enough lift to produce a little sprinkle or maybe a very brief light rain shower. So there we go. All right, let's look at your forecast here as it is now 10:45. Again, we're just yapping this morning. We get rid of that and add this back in. So today, most areas will stay dry. Sprinkle chance west of I-65. 84 this afternoon, partly cloudy. Little layer of clouds drift through. Likely see more sunshine this afternoon. And the weather jokes here. This is my favorite one ever. I've heard this told in dirtier versions, but we're going to do the PG version here. The weather reporter at the gym was often mistaken for a physician. People thought he was a meteorologist. Since the bad weather started, my wife hasn't stopped staring through the patio windows. If it gets any worse, I might have to let her in. I really enjoyed that weather show on Netflix, all 4 seasons of it. Again, I'm giving these jokes 8 out of 10. I'm liking the jokes today. Let me know your score, 1 out of 10. There's no booze with this, Leah. There's no booze with these jokes. These are good jokes. If you're booing something else. Leah says, love this. 2 more warm weekends and then some nice fires. Burn a massive pile. I'm just worried that we'll set the neighborhood on fire. Elevated fire danger. And we might get some burn bans, so you have to watch out for that. Right now, no county burn bans that I've seen in Indiana. Kentucky has some burn bans, but as we continue to be dry and head towards drought conditions, you're going to have to watch out for your municipality and your county that might have some burn bans. I'm liking these dad jokes today. These are my favorite, I think. Meteorologists. In today's weather history, I'm going to post this around noon today if you want to take a longer look at it. But 1811, first reported U.S. tornado to kill more than 10 people in Charleston, South Carolina. 1919, the most intense hurricane to hit U.S., swept through Key West. Over 700 people died with that. 1960, Hurricane Donna passed the Florida Keys, a Cat 4 landfall. Seen a lot of tropical activity because September is the peak of tropical weather. 1976, Tropical Storm Kathleen hit San Diego. You don't hear about Southern California systems very often. 1998, Tropical Storm Francis made landfall in Texas. Worst coastal flooding since Hurricane Carla in 1961. This is an interesting one. 2003, a Florida couple won $21 million when they bought the winning lottery ticket while shopping for a surge protector after lightning had struck their TV set. Unlucky and then very lucky. In 2017, Hurricane Irma crossed the Florida Keys as a Cat 4. Christian, your lows tonight will be in the upper 50s and low 60s. And moving on here, how many days until? Autumn begins in just 12 days. Average highs in the 60s and 39 days. Halloween in 50 days, 51 days. Average first flurries mid-November, 66 days, right before Thanksgiving. So we had our before 8 p.m. sunset yesterday evening, sunset time this evening at 7:58. We lose about an hour and 11 minutes of daylight in September. We won't have that 8 p.m. or later sunset for 197 days on March 26th. Your allergy report is high today with ragweed across the area. Could be bothering a lot of you. UV index is at a 7 today. Should see a little more sunshine this afternoon. I know a lot of you are seeing a lot of sunshine east of I-65, but west of I-65, that's where you have this little disturbance producing some clouds and maybe a couple sprinkles. Speaking of which, this is the short wave. This is what I was describing earlier. So what is a short wave? At about 15 to 20,000 feet, you've got a little bit of a ripple of energy. You've got a little bit of a trough. So there's a line there, a geopotential height at 5,820 meters. So that is about over 18,000 feet. If you cut that trough in half where that dashed line is, that's where you get uplift. That's called the short wave. That's where if you get enough uplift that the models are now picking up on, you can get that sprinkle or you can get that light shower. If you've got enough ingredients, a short wave can cause severe weather and a bunch of rainfall, but this is running into pretty dry air. So it's kind of a wimpy little system, but that is what is causing the clouds west of I-65. So the forecast today, 84 degrees, partly cloudy. So I call it variably cloudy, just depending on your location, cloudier west, sunnier to the east, and a light and variable wind. And tonight, a sprinkle chance, or maybe a very small, brief, isolated shower. 62 our low for tonight. And the forecast here for your Thursday, September the 11th, tomorrow, 62 out the door, 80 at noon, 86 for the afternoon high. Average high is 84. So we're kind of back to normal with our temperatures. Upper 80s to around 90 for the 50th Lanesville Heritage Festival in beautiful Lanesville. So it looks like it'll be pretty dry for the weekend. And the 7-day forecast stays mostly dry. I'm not sure how big your screen that you're watching on is, but I've got some little text there, Saturday, Sunday, that just says isolated. Some of the models trying, like today, give us a little bit of a chance of a sprinkle maybe, but most of the areas are going to be dry for the next 7 days with upper 80s, low 90s, and lows in the 60s. Not terrible humidity, nothing like midsummer that we had, kind of a dry heat on the way. And then maybe, again, in the long-range outlook, around the 21st, 22nd, we might start to see some of that relief on the way as fall officially begins. All right, one last look at the live radar and a live look outside as well, as we're seeing some of the high clouds drifting into New Albany at the corner of Vincennes and Market. And we'll get rid of that and bring up this and bring up this. Here's the live radar scan out of Fort Knox. And a little bit of activity out there. Again, let me know if any of this is touching the ground. Looks like it would be big enough here in the northern tip of Breckenridge County there at North 259 there west of Brandenburg, and maybe some areas west of Hardinsburg are getting a sprinkle there. Otherwise, as we look here at the county line of Crawford and Orange County, you've got just west of Marengo. Is it big enough to touch the ground? Again, give me that ground truth if you're watching. If you're watching the replay as well, let me know if any of this has made it to the ground as well. Because a lot of this might be evaporating before it touches the ground, and that should continue to weaken as it continues to slide off to the east. You can see the motion of this moving from very slowly from west to east as the radar loads up here. So there we go. That's the little bit of activity that we have across the region right now. And before we leave you, here's another live look outside. There's a group of students out there. It looks like a little field trip along the Falls of the Ohio. A little hazy, a little bit of cloud cover. There's the live look with the Falls of the Ohio Foundation.org camera. You can see that little layer of clouds out west. And whenever you want, extolmag.com/weather has all of your weather needs for Southern Indiana and beyond. You can see our live stream is up right now. If you want to learn more about me, there's a little biography. We've got your live radar, current conditions, 68 degrees, 7-day forecast, a lot of different weather maps here. Interactive radar, which you can bring up full screen, which you can see is showing those showers live out to our west. Again, if they're hitting the ground, our temperatures are starting to make their way into the 70s now. You can see the observation stations showing anywhere from around 70 to 77 degrees. And again, this is all at extolmag.com/weather, extolmag.com/weather. You can play along and be your own meteorologist as well. And as we look here, we've got a report coming in from Judy Tyndall. Cloudy here in Cloverport and a sprinkle. Boom, there it is. Our first report of a sprinkle. Love it. Thank you very much. And Vicky's saying the sun is barely peeping through right now. Yeah, cloudier west of 65 as we saw with the radar and satellite. Thanks to our partners at Lions Roofing right out of Memphis, Indiana, family-owned company. Great folks there. Got to golf with some of them Monday at a golf scramble. Thanks for having us out there at Covered Bridge, protecting your most valuable asset for a lifetime. You get free estimates online there, lionsroofingco.com, or on either side of the river, they can help you out with residential, commercial, whatever it might be. 812-294-3595. Any kind of repairs that you need, give them a shout. Might have to work with your insurance. If you want a quote, they've actually had a price reduction with American Family Insurance. I just had my renewal reduced with Michael Long right here. I've been with him for about 10 years. Excellent customer experience I've had, and there's more proof there. Proud to be an American Star certified agency. Excellence in customer experience. Go to amfam.com, put in Michael Long, easy to do, and you can get all the contact information right there. If you need a job opportunity, libspaving.com, L-I-B as in Ben, S, also family-owned company, the top asphalt paving company around, concrete as well, striping, and you can see they have a lot of job openings right here for you. Ivy Tech Community College, right out of Sellersburg, Indiana, 9 miles north of Louisville, I-65 north, exit 9, is where you can find the campus. They have a lot of online opportunities here for you as well. The first fall session is underway now. They've got their second fall session a little bit later in the season, but they've got 8-week programs here where you can always kind of plug in and get ready. 42 programs offered. You can see all of the different 2-year certifications that you can get right here. So they'll meet you where you're at, whether you're in high school, whether you're heading into college, whether you're, again, midlife, whatever it might be. And they can help you with tuition and aid and how to make it all work for you and level up your career. So thanks to all of our partners. We are here because of them. And of course, we can be here because of you. So thank you very much for watching here today. We've got Vicky Berger saying, have a great day. We've got bright sunshine for my sister Leah all around Indianapolis, and Christian's right by you too in the comments there up in Carmel. Alice Young with a good morning. Good morning to you. Thanks for watching, guys, here. We've been talking for 55 minutes. Crazy because it is such a quiet day. Here's my sister up in Indianapolis. She's my sister saying that it is sunny in Indianapolis. Well, there is like a little cloud cover off to the southwest. She's on the northeast side, so she's got that sunshine. But as we look off to the south and we're looking at the live scan, sprinkle report out of Cloverport. So we're getting some sprinkles out of these little guys here in Breckinridge County, holding together. And maybe you're getting a sprinkle near French Lick or north of French Lick heading towards Orleans. And then on the Orange and Crawford County line. Anybody living in this neck of the woods, let me know if you get a sprinkle. And again, if you're watching the replay, let me know if you got any precip today. I'd be very curious how much of this actually hits the ground. Alice Young, thanks for tuning in here this morning. Thank you all. And again, other than this little short wave that we've explained several times here this morning, we've got a pretty dry outlook overall here for us. But we're going to talk a lot more about the summer heat and when maybe we'll see a change. It'll be interesting if the weather models continue to see that Canadian air change right on the first day of fall. So we'll be tracking that. So we've always got stuff to talk about every day on Ben at 10. Thanks for joining me, whether it is on my page, Meteorologist Ben Peine, P-E-I-N-E, or perhaps you are watching on Extol Weather on Facebook. Extol, why is this not scrolling here? I've broken the program. Okay, Extol Weather on Facebook, Extol Media on YouTube, and extolmag.com/weather online. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing. Hit the follow button, the subscribe button, especially on the good old YouTube, and growing those numbers there. Thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for being part of the weather family here in Southern Indiana and beyond. And we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.